What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So we have another trailer review to take a look at, and this is now for Eye for an Eye exclusive trailer. Whitney Peak battles Mr. Sandman in this gothic fairy tale. So like many, you've heard me say this probably in the past few days with the various trailer reviews we've been doing. A lot of these trailers are for films that have either gone to film festivals early this year or were in film festivals last year, even as far back as 2023, and they're making their way back to the surface because either the film was purchased and whoever did purchase it, the studio is now deciding to give it a theatrical release or give it a limited theatrical release. And then the third scenario is it's finally getting its North America release. So some of these you're gonna find have already been released internationally and even in the local region where the film was made, but it has not yet made its way to North America, and it's just now making its way here. So just want to set that foundation for many of these trailers that have come up, because a lot of these we may have heard about when they originally were coming out, and then they really went dormant, went radio silent, hadn't heard anything, and now again it's coming back up with either a new trailer or a previous trailer that was originally released, and again resurfacing to give it a little bit more of a push before it makes its I guess I don't want to say full release, but its next release, we'll call it that. So like we always do, we'll jump into the article details, see if we can figure out what this one's going to be about, and then jump into the trailer. And as I'm guessing, I mean, just from this image, I am sure is from the trailer. I think many kids who grew up anywhere between, I would say, the 40s, 50s through the 80s, when it came to the Easter Bunny, and if you remember, some of you do, some of you may not at all know what I'm talking about. You used to be able to go to a shopping mall around Easter time, maybe a couple of weeks before Easter. Kind of like what they used to, kind of like what some shopping malls used to do around Christmas time, right? They'd have an area sectioned off where you could take a picture with the Easter Bunny or take a picture with Santa Claus, things of that nature. And in the early times, the Easter Bunny looked scary as anything, and that's what this reminded me of. This reminded me of one of those setups you would see at a shopping mall, and you would see tons of parents and kids lined up, and the kids would be calm right up until they got to the point where it was time to take their picture, and then they would start freaking out because what they see and perceive is this massive rabbit sitting there that's probably going to eat them. That's what this picture reminded me of. I remember those things. I never did that as a kid. My family never, went to those things to take pictures. But I do remember walking by and seeing those things and seeing those situations play out. So let's jump into the article details here. Veteran music video director Colin Tilley, hopefully I've pronounced that correctly, makes the leap into the horror genre with Eye for an Eye, and Bloody Disgusting is exclusively debuting the film's trailer this afternoon. So that tells me then this is probably one of those films that did not get a previous film festival release and then a trailer release either before or soon after it, especially if this is saying this is exclusively debuting the trailer. So this is going to be the first time we're all seeing this. And some of you may have already watched this as well. So we have more casting here, and again, you know me, we stop reading names for casting. You can see the names there. I give the link for all these articles in the description of my video, so if you want to go back through and read through who's all in these, we're not reading through casting listing anymore. I think it just takes up too much time. Adapted from a graphic novel called Mr. Sandman, Eye for an Eye infuses classic elements of small town horror with the visual flourishes and story elements of a gothic fairy tale. Vertical will release the film June 20th in select theaters and on demand. And that, you guys have heard me say this many times before, that seems to be the new formula. And I think it's the new formula for horror. Again, if it's not a massive, big budget film like Nosferatu or something like that, these films are getting the selected theaters and then on demand same day. I'm not sure what the rationale for that is, because in my area, and I live in a pretty big city, and you guys have heard me say this before, I probably have I have 4 or 5 movie theaters within 10 to 15 minute drive of where I'm at. And when it's select showings at theaters, it's usually in the smallest theater possible, with the smallest number of seats, and the screen, while yes, it's bigger than what you'd have at home, when you compare it to like the massive, like, theater 1 or theater 2, right? It's just dwarfed in comparison to the size of those screens when you go into these smaller ones. So again, I don't understand the rationale. If you're just going to do it the same day, just put it through on demand and maybe through a streaming platform. I don't understand the select theater aspect, because I can't imagine you're making that much money if you're only getting 1, maybe 2 showings a day. They're more likely going to be 7 p.m., 9 p.m. during the week. So I don't know how much money you're really making there. Eye for an Eye follows Anna, who moves from New York to a small town, Florida, to live with a grandmother. Following the sudden death of her parents, feeling isolated, she falls in with some rough teenage locals and becomes a bystander to an unforgivable act of violence. I think that's a pretty standard plot line there. You go live with your grandparents, and then you start because you feel alone and isolated. You've moved away from all your friends. You've moved away from everything you know, and now you're thrown into a completely new environment. This seems to be the formula where you tend to either get bullied by the popular kids, and then you start to hang out with the kids that you normally wouldn't hang out with. And as it states here, like, they're calling them rough teenage locals. So she soon finds herself ensnared by the twisted soul of a tormented child from the town's past, Mr. Sandman. I'll explain why I'm laughing. Who feasts on the eyeballs of his victims. The more she learns about Mr. Sandman, the more she learns about the truth of her own family. The script writer, we have the trailer, and then just an image, no poster. So I'm laughing about this because we literally just did a trailer review earlier this week, and I went on a small tangent, and I'm going to go on that tangent again here. Lately, it seems like even though we're getting what feels like new or original ideas, we're really not. It's almost as if they're covering it up a bit until you get into the details of the synopsis, where it always has to deal with someone's past, the family past, the town's past. It's always falling back on that as a foundational piece of the story, that it's driving the rest of it as to why this person, this present time person, is being tormented because something her parents did, or something her grandmother is a witch or something, right? It always seems to fall within something of that realm. It's kind of, I almost treat it like it's the jump scare overuse, right? We're overusing the fact that the town has a secret, and all the elderly townspeople are hiding it, and it's going to be exposed because this new person shows up to the town and exposes it. It's very rinse and repeat foundational synopsis there. So, all right, let's get back to the top of the article. I'm still interested in seeing the trailer. I'm still interested to see what this is going to be about. But again, I feel like we've read that similar synopsis time and time again with so many horror films. So, all right, let's jump into this trailer and see what they're going to give us.
Remember, you're dreaming. Remember, you're dreaming.
I'm from Brooklyn. Both my parents died in a car accident. I'm living with my grandma now. What happened to her eyes?
Sandman is what happened to your grandma.
Sandman?
May was mean, callous, wanted everything her way. One night she woke up and there he was. He punishes those who do bad. There's a tree in the woods. You'll know it when you see it. Writing the names of the people that have done you wrong. Injustice will take its course.
Have you been having nightmares?
Yeah.
You can't escape if you're sleeping.
As he has done, it shall be done to him. Eye for eye, tooth for tooth. Remember, you're dreaming. Remember, you're dreaming.
Hello? My name was carved into that tree.
Remember, you're dreaming. Remember, you're dreaming.
All right, so for what it is and for what they're, we had a similar situation with a trailer previously where we watched the trailer. It went up the hill. That's the name of the trailer we recently did. We did a trailer review on. And when we read the synopsis of the article, I did the same thing. I'm going to say I'm having the same reaction with this one. I read the article thinking, okay, what's this about? Watched the trailer and had a completely different reaction, had a completely different opinion. Now, went up the hill. I read the article like, okay, this seems pretty dumb, whatever. Watched the trailer and I was fully hooked, fully bought in. With this one, you read the article, you watch this trailer, you see some aspects of what they were talking about in the synopsis. You know, her parents are dead, she lives with grandma, and she's adapting, right? The rest of that synopsis I don't see playing out in that trailer. I see this trailer portraying something vastly different. I do like the various dream aspects, how we're jumping in and out of that. It almost seems like some of this torment is happening within the dream realm. I mean, we do get into some bloody scenes, which I was glad to see. The one kid getting thrown off the bridge, arm broken, and that's where we start to learn about this tree. We see him carving the names in there where, you know, the Sandman will take the revenge of whose names are written on the tree. And then we even see the main character. She at one point she's pulling an eye out of her throat and has like this long tendon attached to the eyeball. So we see that play out, and then we see at the very end someone laying in a pool, and all of a sudden you see all these eyeballs scattered throughout the pool, and then she's pulled down. Grandma looks absolutely insane. She looks absolutely crazy in this. So she's got to have something to do with what's going on. I'm wondering if she is the one, like, because I think that was her talking to the young boy, you know, telling him about the tree, telling him, you know, you write the names on there, you know, Sandman take his revenge. I'm wondering if somehow she's like the go-between with those who want revenge or are being done wrong, and Sandman making sure he gets like his victims, or he gets fed, so to speak, right? And these things are happening because she had her eyes taken for whatever reason. I'm sure we'll find out in the movie why they were taken. But I'm wondering if she's kind of like the puppet master, so to speak, right? To bring victims to Mr. Sandman. Again, this one looked a lot better than I had expected. I do like some of the shots when we're dark and in the woods. Again, I'm not sure if that's reality or the dream realm that they're in. Some of it looked like dream realm. Some of it looked like reality. I did see some slight comedic aspects to it. It could just be how the trailer was cut, because we see one, I imagine one of the teenagers who's kind of like one of the bullies, he was running. I can't remember if it was before or after he had his eyes taken out and he smacks into a branch and falls back. Again, could just be how the trailer was cut, but that did look kind of comedic. But other than that, I don't see any comedic aspects to this. I see this being a very down, grounded, like trying to be very serious type scary horror film, which I'm all for. So I'll definitely be checking this one out. Let me go back and check on the date for this one. Did we have a date? Yeah, June 20th. So that's here shortly. We are talking about another week or so before this one becomes available on demand. So I'll add this one to my list. We'll see what the price is going to be to rent or purchase. And, you know, typically if the purchase price is pretty decent and pretty low, I'll blind buy a lot of these, even though I know I'm taking a risk that I'll never watch them again. But just on the fact that I do like it, I don't want to waste money renting it and then having to then turn around and purchase it, because I'm just spending more money. So anyways, that's going to do it for this trailer review for Eye for an Eye. Again, coming to select theaters and on demand June 20th. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let us know what you thought about it. And if you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, we'll see you at the next one. Later.